Dice Tower Tonight, episode 67.
The Art of Organization.
Welcome to Dice Tower Tonight, a video cast about board games and card games, and especially the people who play them. On tonight's show, just in case you were looking for a project to do at home, we talk about reorganizing your game collection. Plus, Crystal has a game for us to play. We discuss some games we've played lately, and we answer questions from the audience live. I'm Eric Summerer, and joining me now, the RC to my Springer, Crystal Pisano.
RC and Springer. When you said RC, I thought of cola first.
It's not cola, and I thought you might go that direction, but that's definitely not it. No, RC and Springer are Transformers.
Oh, you know what's interesting? I have never seen anything Transformers related. Nothing.
So the story I'm about to impart will mean nothing to you.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be heartfelt and wonderful. And you know what, though? Sterling is a big fan of Transformers.
Oh, there we go.
So
Hello,
he'll enjoy the story.
So I've been reading a very heavy war-themed book for the past few days, and I finally finished it. And tomorrow I get to read a memoir from a screenwriter, an animation writer named Flint Dille, who worked on Transformers the movie, and as well as a lot of other properties in Hollywood. In fact, he was on the lead team of Niantic when they released Pokemon Go and Ingress as well. So really kind of a fascinating memoir about the Hollywood world. And he talks about the soundtrack to Transformers the movie, which includes a Weird Al Yankovic track. So I get paid to say "Dare to be Stupid," not once, not twice, but thrice in the course of this manuscript.
I mean, come on, there's a Weird Al Yankovic component here, and you thought that I somehow wouldn't appreciate that anecdote? Come on.
I was more excited about the Transformers thing, but, you know.
Okay. What can you do?
Every little bit. How's it going, Crystal? How you doing?
I'm pretty good. I've got a dog in my lap because he was wanting to be in my lap, and usually Maybe's the dog that hangs out on the stream with me, but today Sterling wanted to hang out, so we'll see how long that lasts.
So he's still in there right now.
Oh yeah, he's still on my lap currently. He's just little, so you cannot see him usually.
He seems happy.
He doesn't like to be held face out, so like if I try and pick him up, he's just gonna turn toward me. But if he's sitting on my lap, he's fine. So
okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we've got fun things to do today. You've got a game all queued up for us. We're going to talk about ways to organize your collection. I have visual aids, at least one visual aid. But before we get to that, we should talk about what we've been playing lately. Would you like to go first?
Sure, I would love to. All right, I think I mentioned this game at least briefly in our Dice Tower West recap. But I now own my own copy of it and have gotten to play it again. And so that is a roll and write game called Ripple Rush. Ripple Rush is published by Stronghold Games. And it is an abstract roll and write. And there is no other way to describe it. There's no theme. I have no idea why it's called Ripple Rush. Like, it's just pure abstract roll and write game. But I tend to like these. So in Ripple Rush, everybody gets a pad of paper that has blank spaces in 4 different colors. And the colors also have corresponding shapes. So it is colorblind friendly, which I really appreciate. So yeah, reds, triangles, blues, circles, etc. And then there is a deck of 100 cards that have the 4 different colors, again, shape also identifiable, numbered from 1 to 25 in each color. In the course of the game, all of the players get their own individual deck of 20 cards from the 100-card deck. So you can play anywhere from 1 to 5 players. When each player simultaneously flips up a card from their deck and then writes that number onto their sheet. The way you write numbers on the sheet, the lowest numbers have to be at the bottom and the highest numbers have to be at the top, and you can never go back and forth. So if I write a 4 in that third spot here in the blue section, the only numbers I'm allowed to write below 4 are things that are lower than 4. But because you have a 20-card deck, out of the 100 possible cards, you don't actually know what numbers are going to be coming up. You will eventually score in each row for your longest consecutive row of numbers that are written next to one another. So I'm actually going to show you all the sheet that I did when I played this solo. So for instance, here in the red section, I actually did pretty well. I ended up with 6 numbers written all next to one another. So that means my red row scores 6 points. Whereas over here in the green section, I only get 3 points because there are only 3 numbers that are next to one another without a break. I almost got a 6 there, but didn't. In the solo game, like I played here, I'm just using a deck of 20 cards, and that's it. Whatever numbers come up, come up. If I can't legally place something, then I just can't legally place it. There are bonuses that you can get when you complete a row. You get the bonus that's listed on the side of the card. So that could be either a number, a 5, a 10, a 15, or a 20, or an X in any color of your, well, not in the color of that row particularly. So as you can see, I got this yellow X, and I put it over here in the yellow section. I was trying to make another big long row there and did not succeed. When you're playing this multiplayer, what's really cool about it is the other players, again, are flipping their cards simultaneously. If a player cannot place their number on their sheet, they have to tell everyone else, okay, I cannot place this green 14. And everyone else then can write that number on their own sheet if they can legally place it. So you're stealing numbers from the other players, and that is where this game really shines. I will say playing it solo was fine, but it was far more interesting playing it multiplayer at Dice Tower West. So I'm glad that it had a solo mode and that I was able to try it out, but it's fine. But I think multiplayer, especially 5-player, I didn't get to play it at its max player count, but I think that is where it would shine the strongest. There are also advanced rules, which you could just throw this in right from the get-go. It's not really advanced, that give you bonus scoring opportunities for which rows are you complete. So it might incentivize you to put numbers where you might not usually, because you'll get an extra 3 points if you complete the bonus objective. And that's it. It is pretty simple, easy to teach, easy to play. As far as I just flung my paper onto the floor. But as far as straightforward roll and write games go, I think this one is a neat one. It's nothing mind-blowing. It's not, anything that people are going to be completely wowed over. But if you like having a stable of just easy to teach, quick roll and write games, laminate a few of these sheets, throw them in a quiver with the cards, because again, that 100-card deck is small, so it doesn't take up much space. A few of these sheets, then the deck of cards is really all you need. I'd say this one's not a bad one. The only big downside for me specifically is that the pencils the game comes with are these really annoying golf pencils. They are tiny, they have no erasers, it does not come with a sharpener. I hate these darn things. So admittedly, if I end up laminating the sheets, then it won't matter anyway. But just come on, Steven, this is not helping anybody. These are going to be gone after 2 games. Because I'm not going to go find a sharpener. Although admittedly, I think I have a sharpener in Letter Jam, because Letter Jam came with one, and that was amazing.
It did come with one. You're right.
Yeah, so I might go steal Letter Jam's sharpener. So that's the biggest downside for me, and that's a pretty small downside. Other than that, it's a fine game. I've enjoyed playing it. I'm looking forward to playing it more multiplayer in the future.
Yeah, you mentioned the ease to teach, the simplicity of this one. This is, I think, its strength is how easy it is to teach, how you could bring this out with anybody. That this passes the mother-in-law test for me. It has the cascading of something like Ganz schön clever, but without some of that complexity. You can trigger stuff. I think that's where the ripple rush comes from. You finish one row, and that allows you to get a power that can fill another one that could cascade into other things. But
it certainly doesn't have that same Ganz schön clever feeling. I feel that in Ganz schön clever. I don't necessarily feel that here.
Yeah, and I think you're right. The solo mode, fine, but the real excitement comes when somebody can't play something, and if you can't play something, that's extra painful because everyone else is going to be able to use that number. So that interaction is pretty cool.
For sure, yeah. So I enjoyed it. And I want to thank Stronghold Games for sending it to me.
So for me, I caught a deal online. A lot of publishers during this situation have been supporting local game stores by donating a certain amount of their online orders to a local game store when you place an order with them. And Yellow is one of the companies doing this. I know there's a bunch. So I picked up this.
Ooh.
Which is the King of Tokyo Dark Edition. This is I guess, really it's like an anniversary edition of the game. It is almost the exact same game of King of Tokyo that's been out for, I think, 10 years now. But it has a new set of art by Paul Mayfon, whom I have not encountered before. It's a little shinier, like the box. You probably couldn't tell, but it has some extra like UV shading. The board has some shininess to it that I know I'm not going to be able to display very well here on the camera. But a new board with that track, which I'll get to in 1 second, because that's the one difference here in this version of the game. But all of the characters all have new art. So here's the alienoid. It's all this sort of shadowy, dark, glowy. Where's the Cyber Bunny? I like Cyber Bunny. Cyber Bunny. So it's sort of this. It's all a very unified art style. Mecha Dragon. I like Mecha Dragon. And then of course the standees that go with that. And it also comes with this new. Come on out. Where are you? Translucent dice, which if I can get them in front of the there, you can sort of see that that you can see through them. There's a set of translucent dice. There are energy tokens that look like lightning bolts. They're plastic energy tokens. But the big difference is that everybody gets one of these little tokens that goes up. It's called a menace track, I think. That side of the board. Where did I put the board? Side of the board. Hey, I can hear myself. There's a set of translucent dice. So
that's weird. My phone just started playing.
Did your phone start streaming?
My phone started playing the stream, I think, from maybe my watch? I don't know what happened.
That's a sign that you have too many devices, I think. So you've got this track along the side, and that's your menace track. And you've got abilities that plug into the 3, the 6, and the 10 positions. And there's 2 sides to each of these tiles. They go in specific spots on the track. You can either play all red abilities, all green abilities, or mix and match if you want. But some of them are level 3, some are level 6, some are level 10. Every time you get... Because in regular King of Tokyo, it's the Yahtzee mechanism. You roll the dice, and you can keep any number and re-roll up to twice, and then you resolve all the dice. There's 2 ways to win. You either knock out everybody else in the game, or you score enough points to win, 20 points. And one way to get points is that the dice have numbers on them, 1s, 2s, and 3s. If you get a triple of any of those numbers, you score that number of points. So 3 3s is worth 3 points, 3 2s is worth 2 points, 3 1s is worth 1 point, and then you get an additional point if you get more of that number. So 5 3s would be 3 points plus 2 points, which is good. But now the 1s and 2s have an extra bonus. If you get a triple of a 1 or a triple of a 2, you score some of those menace points and start moving up the side of the track. And as soon as you get to the 3 or the 6, or the 10, you get to sift through those abilities that are still there and choose one. This replaces the power-up aspect of King of Tokyo, which was an expansion for the regular game. This allows you to customize your folks a little differently. And it's sort of a race. If you have a particular ability that you really want, racing up that track is a good way to get there and get that ability before somebody else. Beyond that, this is the exact same game. So as a first purchase, I love King of Tokyo. This is still King of Tokyo. It's a great game. I would recommend this wholeheartedly to anybody that does not have it already. If you do have King of Tokyo, though, I'm not sure this is necessarily worth a repurchase. That new mechanism is neat. It's fine. I just don't think it's not groundbreaking. If you love King of Tokyo and you love the art that I just showed off and you really want a new stark glowy edition, it does have a couple of new abilities. I noticed maybe a half dozen cards in the deck that I was not familiar with. Some cool abilities like a hibernation mode and what else was in there? There's some other cool things. But again, half a dozen cards, is it worth getting a whole new copy of the game? As a first purchase, absolutely. This is a gorgeous edition of King of Tokyo, and King of Tokyo is a great game. If you already own it, it's not anything to write home about, I don't think. If that makes sense. That's the King of Tokyo Dark Edition that's just out from Yellow.
It sounds really neat. It's funny, I've played King of Tokyo a bunch over the years, but I've never owned my own copy. Oh. It feels like one of those games that I never mind playing it, but I don't necessarily need to own.
Okay.
But I will admit, the art is really cool in this edition.
It's pretty, and it's got that nice stark cover, too, that like there's nothing written on it. It comes with like a little flap that fits over it when you first purchase it, and then you remove the flap, and now it's just the monster looking at you on the cover.
Yeah,
unless you forget what that is.
That's pretty cool. All right, well, the doggo is going to have to get off of my lap because it's game time.
Game time!
Hi, Sterling. Everybody say bye to Sterling. He's going to get tangled up in my headphones is what's going to happen. Can you go down on the floor?
No.
I know. He's like, no, please continue holding me.
I want to play.
I love you, puppy. Go down on the floor. Okay, here you go. All right. Well, Eric, at the beginning of March, you brought out a game that I had never heard of before that I had a lot of fun playing.
Okay.
And that game was Crosswords.
Nice. My son watched us play that game on the stream and then asked to play it at home as well. So you weren't the only one inspired.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. It kind of scratches the same itch for me that think games like Balderdash do. So when Stronghold sent over Ripple Rush, they also sent over a copy of this for me because I enjoyed it so much. So now we get to play it again.
All right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my camera to my other webcam. Audio and video. It's going to probably make me go away for a second. And then we do this. And in theory...
There we go.
In theory...
All right, I'm going to make you full screen so that we can see everything. And
okay.
I'm actually going to remove our graphics as well. Give me a second to do that.
Hopefully, everything is readable. I've got a light over the webcam, but the lighting in this room is not super great. So for anyone in the chat who did not play this game with us before, in Crosswords, we are all trying to come up with words or items to fill in categories that fit the intersections of the things listed. Do not start worrying about anything yet. Everything I have on screen currently is just an example. They are not the ones that we're going to be doing in the game. So I have already pre-filled in my answers, just like Eric did last time, which felt like cheating, and I don't care. I did it too now. So
you have a lot of things to worry about. It makes sense.
It does make sense. So what Chat and Eric are going to be doing is after I reveal the cards, you're going to be coming up with things to fit in to the intersection. So for instance, a thing that starts with Y that is also made of metal would need to go here. Which I can't come up with a darn thing for that off the top of my head. But like...
yard ornament.
Yeah, there you go. Or places in the USA, also musicians and bands. That could be something like Chicago, for instance.
Ah, nice.
So you have 9 total guesses that you can use. They do not all have to go in the same in all of the places in the grid. At least that'll be for you, Eric. You can come up with more than one for a specific category if you can't come up with another. Oh. Chat, I'm going to be looking for only one answer in each space. So chat, what you all are going to do is after I reveal the cards, you are going to put your guesses in the chat with numbers. So if you want to make a guess for the different grids, I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So based on where you want your answer to go, for the most part, the first answer I see for any given number will be the one that I will write down on your tokens, chat, and I will put them down. Then, once Eric and the chat have made their guesses, we will all reveal, and any guesses that match do not score points, but any unique guesses will. We played this before, so I imagine that was a quick and dirty explanation. Do we think that that's probably enough?
It makes sense to me. I can't wait to freeze. I had all the time in the world to do this last time.
I know, right? I literally, everything just leaves your head. And if you were playing the game regularly, chat, and like I've done here, this starts with card is what you always start with, and then it tells you what colors of cards to put on the top and on the side. The categories of cards that we have are things, proper nouns, and miscellaneous. So it tells you what cards to set out in each section. So I'm going to start revealing our actual cards.
5 letters long. Okay.
I will read them off here in a second. After I pull all of these off. Okay, so we've got starts with A. Things that are scary. Your answer must be 5 letters long. Liquids. Things that are really old. And TV show characters.
Oh, boy.
So, Eric, please go ahead and start writing down your answers.
Okay.
And then I am going to start looking in the chat. And it looks like chat is already coming up with things. I'm going to say that I'm not going to take that number 1 answer, though, because it does not fit. So, it doesn't work. I'm going to wait till... Okay, now we're getting some more things. Okay.
I hear a lot of clicking from the chat. I can't see them anymore.
Yeah, they're guessing all right. So we've got a 7 for the chat. Oh, man. I should have popped this chat out, shouldn't I? Let's see here. We're going to pop the chat out. Okay, we got that.
That's a lot of clicking.
Okay, I got 1. I got 7. 7, 7, 1, 1, 1, 1. 3. I don't think that's where they meant to put that. Again, the numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to skip over anything that does not make sense. Okay, we got a 9.
I'm just blanking on some of these, though.
1, 7.
The 5 letters one is messing with my head.
Okay, we got a successful 3. 9, 1, 7, 3, 9, 7, 1, 9. 1, 9, 3, 3, 1. Hey, there's a 2. Is that a real thing? I don't want to have to do Googling. I'm going to pick the next 2 that's listed because I just don't want to have to Google it. I'm sure it's correct and you all can judge me later for not knowing that that's a real thing. Okay, putting that down for the 2. 3, 2, 5. I'm going to say that's also not going to count.
Oh, come on. I got to think of something.
2, 2, 1. Okay, there's a 5.
Uh.
3, 9, 5. There's a 4. Okay, got a 4. How you doing, Eric?
I have 8 things written down, and I'm trying to pick one of the last 2. I doubled up on one.
Okay.
Looks like Chad is also at 8.
6 and 8 are the ones that I'm currently missing. And let's see. Ooh, there's an 8.
I've written down 9 answers. We'll see if we'll let the judges decide if I.
Okay. And I think 6 is the only one I'm currently missing. Let me keep scrolling down. And, oh, there's a 6. I'm assuming, okay. Okay.
All righty.
You got them all. And then I'm going to just leave the chat up. All right, thank you, chat. Y'all did a good job after that first little bit. So we're going to go to square number 1 first. Things that start with A that are also liquids. What do you got for us, Eric?
This is the one that I doubled up on. So I said absinthe and ammonia.
Okay, well, absinthe is going to get you a point. And chat is not going to get a point because they also said ammonia.
Oh, no!
So, but you get a point for absinthe, and I get a point for apple juice.
Nice.
So, point for me, point for Eric. No point for chat. Okay, going to square number 2. Things that are really old that start with A. What do you got, Eric?
I said antiques.
Ooh, that is a good one, and that's going to get you a point. Chat said Amsterdam.
Well, yeah.
There was a dinosaur listed called Albertosaurus that it sounded fake, but I'm sure it's probably real. But I went ahead and just went with Amsterdam for the chat, and my answer was an abacus. I figure that's pretty old way to do math.
Sure.
So points for everyone that time. All right. So what about square number 3? Starts with A, TV show characters.
Angel from the Buffy spinoff Angel.
You know what? I almost put that when I was answering these, but I didn't, so it's going to get you a point.
Okay.
Chat is also getting a point for Alf.
Aha!
And I am getting a point for Alice from the Brady Bunch.
Nice.
So, point. All right, going to square 4. Liquids that are scary.
Beware of the blob, it creeps and seeps and glides and slides across the floor, right through the door, and over on the wall, a blotch, a splotch. Be careful of the blob.
I would say that definitely qualifies and will get you a point.
Woo!
Chat also gets a point for acid.
Yep, I almost said acid.
And I know the A thing tries to stick in your head, doesn't it?
Yep.
I said witch's brew.
Okay.
So points for everyone. All right, going on to square 5. Things that are really old and scary.
I'm not sure this is going to hold up, but I said Cthulhu.
I mean, I would say that's accurate. Old and scary. Whether you talk about the stories or the actual creature itself, definitely. Chat had a great answer for this one, and that was a mummy.
Yep.
Really good answer, and I had vampires.
Okay.
So
I almost said mummy. That would have knocked each other out.
all right, going on to square number 6. TV show characters that are scary. What do you got for me, Eric?
I said the smoke monster from Lost.
Oh, okay. Chat said Krusty the Clown. And, I mean, I gotta give it to him. That's accurate. And I said, of course, one of my favorite TV show characters, Hannibal Lecter, obviously.
Nice.
If anyone hasn't watched the Hannibal TV show, if you're stuck at home and you need something to stream, look that up. I think it's on Amazon Prime. All right, points for everybody again. Going on to square 7. Liquids, but your answer must be 5 letters long. What do you got, Eric?
I said slime, and this is the one that I thought the judge might have to call on, because I think a slime is a liquid.
I mean, it is not a solid.
So slime.
Slime counts. You're getting a point for that. And chat is going to get a point for water. And I'm going to get a point for Pepsi.
Oh. I never even considered water.
I know, right? It's funny what your brain tries to do. Well, so far, aside from chat missing one thing, we've all scored points universally across the board, so it's going to be a very riveting finish again.
Okay.
How about things that are really old and your answer has to be 5 letters long?
Well, this is the one I skipped out on because I doubled up on slot number 1, so I got nothing.
Well, guess what? Nobody's getting anything because the chat and I both said Earth.
Oh, ho, ho.
So
That's my opening.
No points for anybody in that round. All right, last but not least, TV show characters, and your answer must be 5 letters long.
I said Angel from the Buffy spin-off show, Angel.
I mean, it still fits. The chat apparently kept up with The Simpsons because they said Marge, and I said Janet from The Good Place.
Oh, excellent.
So everybody gets points there, which means, Eric, you and I tie with 9 points, and chat only got 8.
I think it's 8 and 7.
7 and 8. That is correct, because 9 is the most you could possibly get. So, a riveting finish, but this one was fun.
Yes, indeed.
I think that this game definitely would probably shine better with lots of people playing all in the same room, but definitely. I like our little modified version on the stream here. And honestly, chat came up with some really good answers this time.
They did. I think more people certainly helps. I think this plays up to 6, which would certainly would make it would increase the chance of you doubling up with things, and just make it a little bit more zany and crazy. Plus, there's this time element that somebody gets rid of all 9 of their discs first, and then they count. I think they count to 5 or 10 or something, and so everyone else has to frantically throw stuff out real fast. So that also would change things.
For sure. I think this is a pretty cool game that I hadn't heard anything about until you brought it out last month. So I'm really excited to have this in my collection.
It's a good one. And my kids, when they had it come out earlier, not only did we play one round with all 3 of us, but then my youngest and I played another round while his brother went off and did something else. So he's like, "Can we play again?" We just I'm like, "It doesn't really play 2, buddy." "No, we can do it. Here we go." So it was a good time.
For sure. So that was our game for today. And then let's move on to our discussion topic for the evening. We figured, since everybody or a lot of people are stuck at home right now, maybe some people have some free time and we're thinking, I could reorganize my game collection. So we wanted to talk about ways that you can organize your games and give some maybe helpful tips and tricks or suggestions on how you can mix things up if you are looking to reorganize.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has sort of gone through this progression as their collections have grown. I think I started out with just one shelf in the closet for the 5 or 6 games we started with, which then became one of those staples, office cabinets in the basement, and then that grew into some IKEA furniture, and then it just sort of exploded everywhere. So you're constantly having to reevaluate how you store all of this stuff, and it's nice to maybe mix it up a little bit rather than just trying to shove everything into the space as you can add to it, to actually sort of look at everything and maybe start from scratch and reorganize.
For sure. I will admit that as a person, organization is not my strong suit. I am very bad at keeping things neat and ordered and organized. Like, when I put all of my games onto a new shelf, I love the way it looks. And then I'll take a game off to play it. And then I'll take another game off to play it. And then eventually what looked really pretty originally, all of a sudden is kind of, things are haphazardly just thrown back into random shelves wherever. And the cool, neat organization system that I came up with tends to go awry at a certain point. And so I'm definitely looking for some suggestions from the chat as well as to how to keep a game collection organized. But as far as how to organize it, I've gone through a similar progression as you have. Like, I started with a bookshelf that literally was intended for books, and I was like, let's stack some games on top of the bookshelf. Then eventually the books came out of the bookshelf and more games went in. And then I progressed to an IKEA Kallax shelf, which is what a lot of people tend to use. And now I have more games than a 5x5 Kallax can hold. So some of the games just ended up kind of everywhere, like you said. And
yep.
I will eventually be getting more shelving, but it's interesting because I don't want to just buy shelving until I know where it's going and what I'm doing with it. So I think having dedicated shelving for games, if you have a large collection, is not a must-have, but a really good to have thing.
I mean, I see the pictures of people who have like a hybrid display shelf. They've got a calyx or something that this pod is games, and then this one has a nice plant, and this one has some more games, and a few books are over here, and it's this lovely artistic expression of all their various interests. And I'm like, no, I need all of that space for the games.
That's actually how my Calyx started. When I first bought my 5x5, I had few enough games that I could do that. And I had like my Portal gun and like some of my pop figures and stuff in the you know, alternating squares. And then, eventually all of the knickknacks had to come out.
Indeed. Somebody in the chat was sort of joking and saying that organizing by color is not the way to go. But I don't know if you've seen the pictures of some people that have done this. It actually looks really neat to organize your games by box color, although you then would have so much trouble trying to find anything unless you just memorize. If you know your collection well enough to say, oh yeah, Dark Edition of King of Tokyo, that's on the black shelf right there. But I know I would be like, wait, what color's the spine of this particular game? I'm not sure I know.
Right. Yeah, there are some games that I think the box color is distinctive, but there are others where I would definitely be struggling to remember. So yeah, you could organize by color. I've seen people organize by theme as well, which I think is kind of interesting because if there are themes that you tend to enjoy, like, okay, I want to play a space game today, if you could go to a specific section of your shelving unit and look at all of the space games together and maybe then pick one out, I think that can be more functional.
Yes. I mean, box size is often the obvious choice, and that's one way that starting from scratch is good. Rather than trying to, again, one out, one in, or reorganize one at a time, it's sometimes good to just pull it all off, empty an entire closet or an entire shelving unit, and start from scratch. I sort of like to, when I did move my games, started by sort of stacking some of them, and then all the similar sized boxes could go on one shelf. That only works so well because you're going to have outliers, or some of the box sizes don't fill a shelf all the way, and you end up with like a space this big that you need to put something in, and there are only so many games that are that thin. But it's a good place to start. I certainly liked doing it that way. I need more shelves, really.
I mean, we all do, I think. Another way that I've seen people organize, which interests me, but I think is difficult to pull off, is organizing by player count. So, like, if you have some 2-player only games, keeping those all together. So that way, when you have a game night, you can actually go to a section of shelving based on the number of players that are going to be playing the game. But obviously, since player counts tend to vary, I guess you could technically do it based on how many players you prefer to play any particular game at. Like, okay, this one is 3 to 5, but I only want to play it with 4, so it goes in the 4-player section. But I think especially for solo, 2-player, and lots of player games, like party games, having those grouped together could be very beneficial and functional.
Yes, oh, for sure. I mean, I know I have most of our party games in one general location, and most of our 2-player games, in fact, part of that was because of box size. A lot of the 2-player games are the Cosmos 2-player line, and those are all just sort of the same size on a bookshelf. That helps a lot, but I have not followed through with, here's all my 3 to 6-player games. I don't know if I could quite organize that way. My brain wouldn't work that way.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's difficult to pull off well, but I can see how it would be beneficial for some people. I think the only other way that I really thought of that would be a good way to organize games, it may not be efficient for like filling up space, but organizing them based on the frequency of play. So a lot of us have games that we don't necessarily want to sell or trade away, but we don't play them almost ever, like games, that are older or kind of just more nostalgia keeps. I want to put those on a bottom shelf or way in the back or somewhere farther away because I don't want them taking up prime real estate. Whereas the games I know I'm going to be pulling off the shelf a lot, I want those to be right front and center, easy to grab.
Yes, and as my games have spilled out of where they're supposed to live, I sort of took over a windowsill in our dining room. And the intent is that it's the games that we play most often, me with the children. So those would be the ones that they would want to pull off the shelf and play by themselves, or me playing with them. And these would be the ones that they would say, "Oh, it's family game night. Let's look at these and pick one." That's the intent. But stuff that doesn't belong there is there now. Often my review games end up there so that I don't forget about them, so that they're there in sight, so that I know that needs to happen soon.
Well, that actually creates an interesting segue for me, Eric. I will say that we can continue this organization discussion with the chat. So chat, if you have anything to contribute to the organization discussion, please put it in the chat. We'll keep talking. But we can also kind of roll this into our Q&A segment of the show. And I need your help. I, in the midst of a pandemic, have gotten a bunch of games in the mail. And so I'm going to let you, chat, pick what game I talk about in the next episode of Dice Tower tonight. I'm going to put a straw poll in the chat in just a minute. But first, I'm about to show you a big pile of games, and not all of them are games that I can cover in our next episode because some of them require more than one player. And right now it's solo gaming only for me, friends. But hold on. I'm going to very carefully pick this up and try not to pull a Honga and destroy everything. But look at what's on the bottom, Eric.
Oh, what? That's cool.
Okay, so we've got the crew, we've got brainwaves, we've got a couple of different exit scenarios, we've got bites, we've got musical chairs, which is a trick-taking game from Kelly North Adams that I really wish I could play.
Okay.
We've got queens, and we've got Forgotten Waters, the new pirate.
Jealous.
I'm so excited that I have that. And wow, that's a heavy pile. So I'm going to put that down before I drop the whole thing. And I'm going to drop a link in the chat.
Boy.
So hopefully that will be clickable and that will work. So, okay, so not all of the things that you just saw are options in the poll chat. Obviously, the crew, bites, musical chairs, and queens cannot be played solo.
Okay.
Forgotten Waters technically also can't, but the designer has posted both solo and two-player variants of Forgotten Waters on Board Game Geek. So I consider those to be official variants, and since I know I'm not going to get to play Forgotten Waters probably anytime soon otherwise, I'm willing to play it solo. I'm actually willing to also stream it, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone if people want to play it on their own. So I also need to know from you, chat, put it in the chat, if you would be interested in seeing me stream a solo game of Forgotten Waters, knowing that there are spoilers if I do so. I would probably only do the first scenario, so it probably wouldn't be that bad. Yeah. And from what I've heard, it can go different ways. So even if you watch me play it, if you played it later, it might not go exactly the same way. But I imagine there are story beats that you now know. So I honestly have no idea if there would even be appetite for me playing that on stream. Truly. I just don't know. So yeah, chat. Y'all vote. And whatever game gets the most votes, I will review in our next episode of Dice Tower tonight.
Cool. So there's one more aspect of storage that I wanted to hit on before we get away from the topic, and that is moving your games out of their boxes into some other storage method.
Ooh.
So I know you are a fan of the Quiver. In fact, you mentioned it earlier in the show. Somebody in the chat talked about moving small card games to those photo organizer, the clear plastic boxes, where you can now have uniform boxes for all your card games. I wanted to show off this thing, the Bit Box, which is in fact, speaking of calyxes, the basic unit of a BitBox is a large cardboard shelving insert that actually fits in a Kallax. And it has these drawers, which, let me put this down. This is for putting the boards in. You're supposed to slide the boards into this thing. And then this drawer, it looks like a shoebox, basically, slides out. And then it has these different sized boxes that you put a game in. So this would contain a game. And then this one would have, so like Splendor could probably fit in here. Or maybe Splendor with expansions could fit in here. And so you completely remove everything from the box and stick it in one of these things, put a label on it, and then this goes in a drawer. And then there's a portable like carrier unit that you can also take an entire drawer out and one of the board things and put that in a carrier unit. So now you're carrying like 6 games around with one handle. As a concept, I think it's really cool. And there's also the ones with like soft-sided bags, that Game Folio, I think it's called, where you move all of your games into these game folios, and you're supposed to put those on your shelf, and it dramatically reduces the amount of space these games take up. But I haven't been able to pull the trigger. I have a quiver. I've done that, and I've done the photo boxes. For some reason, small card games, it seems like that's okay. I can get rid of the boxes on those things. But the full-size games, I've had this for years sitting in there, not sure what to do with it. And I just can't manage to make it happen with the BitBox.
I think I would have the same problem. Like, I don't even, like, when I get expansions for games and I can fit the expansion content in the original box, I have trouble throwing away the empty expansion boxes. And I don't quite know why that is. Like, I could just recycle them. They're just cardboard. It's fine. I actually have expansion boxes propping up my computer monitor right now. Like, that I just had sitting around because I hadn't recycled them. And so I'm kind of glad I had them sitting around. But yeah, it's weird. Game boxes, I think there's some kind of a weird emotional connection to the box itself, at least for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've been able to let go of expansions. I still have a bunch in the basement that I haven't gotten rid of that I really do need to clean out. And I've gotten better at, if I can get the expansion content into the original box, that expansion box gets dismantled, and I actually have to rip it apart and break all those seams and flatten it and get it out the door. But it's hard because some of those boxes look really nice, and some are built really well, and they don't break down very easily.
Sometimes the art on the expansion boxes I actually like more than art on the original boxes, but usually the expansion boxes are smaller. But I have, like, my copy of Battlestar Galactica, I owned the base game much longer than I owned all of the expansions, and my box for the original Battlestar was beaten up. Like, one of the corners was completely torn, and, like, it was battered. So luckily, all of the boxes for that game, including the expansions, are the same size. So I was able to take, I think it was the Daybreak one that I ended up putting everything into, and tossing the original box. Once something is damaged, it's easier for me to get rid of it. Yeah.
In fact, my Istanbul box is damaged, and that may be a good candidate for throwing in one of these things. I haven't moved it over, but I did the exact same thing with Battlestar Galactica. I would take the most recent expansion, and that would be the cover of the box. I actually sort of Frankensteined the boxes together, so it would be the cover of one expansion and the back of another expansion, so I didn't have to empty the box.
Okay.
I could just put the new lid on it and be like, hey, it's the new content.
Perfect.
But that didn't necessarily help fitting it on the shelf.
Yeah. I think BitBox did something really neat that I would imagine not a lot of gamers really latched on to, like I think they were probably hoping.
You have to commit. If you're going to do it, you need to do it. And be willing to let that stuff go. But I just haven't been able to get to that point. I need to find games that are in multiple boxes, and that's the stuff that I need to move to a BitBox.
Right,
like
maybe if you, yeah.
Once I can't carry it around in one unit anymore, then I'm much more willing to it no longer works when it's in 3 boxes. Then I have to find some other solution.
Yeah. I think that's good. And I would imagine games, like obviously the coming in different boxes kind of applies here too, but like maybe if you play miniatures games or any type of like living card games, things like that might also theoretically work where you're not ever going to be able to contain everything in a single place anyway. And so the bitbox would theoretically help you organize stuff.
Yeah.
I think it could be useful for something like that.
But then is that any different than like the card organizers, the trading card, the one was the multiple troughs that's where my Dominion set is in one of those giant slab boxes with 5 channels, and that fits all of the Dominion cards I own currently in that thing.
I mean, for a card game, maybe not. I think for maybe miniatures or something else that had differently shaped components, it could theoretically work. But yeah. It's definitely not for me either. So I'm kind of on the same page as you in that regard.
Yeah. Lots of great advice showing up in the chat with how people have organized their collections. We have some time before the end of the stream tonight. If you have any questions for me or for Crystal, how are the votes going on the... I haven't refreshed the results in a little while.
I will admit, I'm kind of happy that Brainwaves is getting some votes because I'm curious about it.
I voted for Brainwaves, actually. I mean, I would love to see Forgotten Waters as well, but I'd like to learn more about Brainwaves.
Yeah, I might try and do that as well then, but it seems like Forgotten Waters is the overwhelming favorite here, and there were a number of comments that flew by in chat saying that people would be interested in me streaming it here on the Dice Tower, so I may have to talk to Tom about when I could do that. It would definitely be on a weekend, because I work during the week. So yeah, I might try and do it in an early afternoon on a Saturday or Sunday, in the upcoming couple of weeks, because then we can theoretically hit a lot of time zones. But I'm gonna, Rodney Smith put out a how to play video, and there's the designer's thread about the solo variant, so I've got all the pieces I need. It feels like maybe I could give Forgotten Waters a try.
Yeah, cool. Somebody said that empty boxes are great for sound deadening. You use push pins to attach the bottom of the box to the wall, and then you can put the cover on, and you have cheap decor. I like it.
Huh. I never thought of that, and I actually have a room that echoes a lot right now, so
there you go.
Perhaps I'll push pin some boxes to the wall.
So Gator Dave asks, how many Hawaiian shirts do I own? I think I have about 6 or 7. There was a time when back in my radio days, when I was on Beethoven.com, the world's classical music station, we did Hawaiian Shirt Friday, and we had a webcam just like this while we were on the air, and so we would wear a Hawaiian shirt to work on Friday, and people could see us on the webcams. So I had enough to rotate, and I was collecting them for a little while. They only come out for Dice Tower Tonight these days, and Weird Al concerts. I wear them there too.
That's a good call. I generally, at least lately, wear my custom Weird Al Yankovic skirt when I go to a Weird Al concert. But did you actually see the article? Oh yeah, you and I both got tagged by somebody on Twitter about it.
I haven't read it yet, but I did see the ping. But I need to go read that.
It's pretty cool. And the photo shoot that they did for that article, I'm on a mailing list about Weird Al, of course. And they did a photo shoot in LA where they wanted people dressed in Hawaiian shirts with the wig and an accordion for the giant group photo shoot. And I got the email about that and could have gone and been part of that photo shoot. But driving the 4 hours to LA to take a photo of me dressed like Weird Al sounds like a lot of fun, but it was in practice was not very practical. I think they only gave like a day or two note. It was something silly. I don't remember how maybe it wasn't that quick, but like it was not like it was a quick turnaround for getting into the photo. So I did not take advantage of that.
Falcon asks, Eric, did you read for the 4th book of the Dark Herbalist books? I'm looking up at my towering pile of books. The Dark Herbalist series is it's what they call a lit RPG, and it's this guy that is in this immersive role playing world, and he is a video game plotline tester. So his job is to take a weird path, to promote the fact that you could take a weird path and be successful. I'm only seeing 3 books up there. I thought I've read all of those. Is the 4th one new? If it's new, it's possible it hasn't gotten to me yet. But I thought the series was done, and I thought I finished reading it. I get it. It all sort of blurs together after a while. But I did the first 3 books of the Dark Herbalist series. If there is a 4th one, I would imagine I'm reading it, but it's not in front of me yet.
Someone was asking what my shirt said, so I was trying to show it off. It says, "Tell your dog I said hi."
Hi, dog.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why the text is not centered. It's odd, but I like the shirt anyway, so. Let's see. Gator Dave asks, Crystal, has the Animal Crossing fever started to wear off? And I will say no.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. It will, I'm sure. Let's see. How many days has it been? I can look on a calendar on my phone and see. I have not played. I've played it every day since it released, and it released on the 20th of March. So 1, 2, 3. This Friday will be 4 weeks, and I've played it every single day.
Okay.
I've never played any Animal Crossing game before this one, and wow, I love it. It's been so good to just like kill time, and it feels lovely, and there's like repetitive tasks which, you know, could be mind numbing, but in a way that's a good thing right now. So I don't know. I am certain that my play will slow down as time continues. But for now I'm still playing it a lot. So
very cool.
Yep, it's great.
Halo or Halox asks, would you get rid of books to store more games, or get rid of games to store more books?
I would get rid of books to store more games. And that's nothing against books, but I actually, while I do love the feeling of reading a physical copy of a book, I also am a fan of using an e-reader. It is much easier for me to store a book collection digitally than it is to store a game collection digitally, even though both things can be done in both mediums. So assume if I needed the space, I would use it for games, not books.
I think I agree with your logic. Most of my reading's for work, so I'm almost always reading on the iPad. I guess I would have to go with getting rid of the books, because the games I think would get more use.
But I guess in general, that's the answer. But there are certain books that I would never get rid of.
I wouldn't get rid of all the books.
Right. Yeah, no, that's never happening. Like, I have a first edition printing of The Orchid Thief, which is one of my all-time favorite books, and I love it. And when I found the first edition printing, I was very excited. Like, that stuff would never go away. Let's see. Sorrow Song, Crystal, have you tried the Raiders of the North Sea app for the Switch? I haven't. I've never actually played the Raiders of the North Sea board game either. So if you have played it, or if anyone in the chat has played the Switch version of Raiders of the North Sea, I'd be curious to know if it is easy to learn the game from the Switch app. I would assume yes, but I'd be happy to know that, because then I could maybe pick it up.
If you were a transformer, what would you change into, says Nathan.
So Transformers are cars that turn into robots, right?
Sure. Let's say...
That's like the 180s thing that I have such a gap in knowledge about. Like, come on, we can talk about like My Little Ponies or like She-Ra and He-Man, Ninja Turtles, but yeah, no, the Transformers and it's a gap for me.
I think I would end up being a boombox, or some sort of sound equipment, as long as I can broadcast.
So basically any digital thing can be a transformer?
Well, yeah. I mean, transformers can turn into lots of different objects. Many are vehicles.
Okay.
But there was a tape deck. There was a gun. Megatron was a gun. There was a microscope. A transformer named Perceptor that actually turned into a working microscope. So, yeah, there's some interesting.
Okay, I want to be a karaoke machine then.
There you go. No, I like it. I like it a lot.
Let's see. Oh, in Animal Crossing, how many mortgages have I paid off? I have paid off my 1.2 million Bell mortgage, so I'm on the 2.75 million Bell mortgage. Tom Nook is a capitalist, and he's keeping me. He keeps expanding my house and wants more money from me, and it's all fine.
Okay.
Oh, the chat just scrolled a whole bunch.
Yes.
Let's see.
Are the King of Tokyo expansions compatible with King of Tokyo Dark? There is nothing that I think would prevent you from using the power-up cards with these King of Tokyo monsters. It's the same set of 6 from the 2nd edition. So it's Cyber Bunny versus Cyber Kitty. Is that right? Or is Cyber Kitty the new one? I think Cyber Kitty was 2nd edition. Cyber Bunny, I think, is the original edition of King of Tokyo. But the power-up cards, it would have different art, but you could certainly use them the same way if you wanted to.
All right. Nathan asks, if extra lives were a thing in real life, how would one go about acquiring them?
Oh, boy.
I would say maybe eating a really rare, like, fruit. Like something that's really hard to find.
Yeah, it has to be rare or like pulling off a really sweet skateboard trick.
Yeah. Climbing the top of Mount Everest or something.
Or helping someone cross the street. Like good deeds could get you free lives.
I mean, this is all of a sudden the good place. Now it's just a point system, but
it is.
And Falcon says, confirmed, Eric, your name is on the cover of Finding a Body Dark Herbalist Series Book 4.
Okay, so I thought I had read 4 of them. I'm only seeing 3 for some reason, but I may have lent one to someone. So I've done 4, and I guess a 5th one is coming, which is exciting because I really enjoyed that series.
Oxkull said, most crystal answer, karaoke machine. Yeah, I mean, what else? That's All right, well, we are about at our time to end the show. Nathan, I love all of the questions that you're throwing out right now, but we do not have time to answer all of them. So keep those for next episode. Speaking of which, our next episode will be in 2 weeks on Wednesday. Oh gosh, what date will that be?
In 2 weeks, it'll be the 29th.
The 29th of April at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you all, before you leave today, could do me one tiny favor, and if you enjoyed this episode, if you could click that thumbs up button below the video, we really appreciate it. It helps the YouTube algorithms know to recommend this video to other people, and then hopefully they can come join us live in 2 weeks. So we hope you all will come and join us again then. Obviously, the Dice Tower is still doing the nightly chats at the same time, 6 p.m. Pacific every day for the foreseeable future. I'm not sure when Tom is planning on ending those. So if you want to see people other than Eric and I, you should definitely come back and watch the live show every night at 6 p.m. Other than that, though, Eric and I will be back in 2 weeks. And until then, I'm Crystal Pisano.
I'm Eric Summerer.
And you've been watching Dice Tower Tonight.
Thank you for watching. Promotional consideration has been provided by game publishers in the form of review copies of games. Crystal and I will see you in 2 weeks for another installment. Our show is supported by viewers like you. Thanks. Dice Tower Tonight is produced by Crystal and me with assistance from Tom Vassell, Mike DeLisio, Roy Cannaday, and Rob Searing. That moment when someone in the audience yells, "Play a song about Japan!" brought to you by Sing of Tokyo. Timothy Pinkham composed our theme, and hosting is provided by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games at great prices at coolstuffinc.com. Give us your feedback on the Dice Tower Guild at Board Game Geek, on Facebook or Twitter, or by emailing us at dicetower@gmail.com. And don't forget to visit the other shows in the Dice Tower Network. Find something new at dicetowernetwork.com. Until next time, from all of us at the Dice Tower, have fun gaming.
Bye, chat. Stay safe, stay healthy.
So long, everybody.